A welcome one more time. A welcome to Angelo's podcast number 19. And boy, I tell you, COVID is taking motherfuckers out. I swear to God, half of the Republican Congress has tested positive. Republican commentators have tested positive, like Kellyanne Conway and Chris Christie, the president of the United States has had it for a couple days now, and he's flown into that military hospital where he's on oxygen. Although some reports say he can come out on Monday, others say it's going to be a little bit while longer. Who knows? It's getting the NFL. The Tennessee Titans have now like 13 or 14 positives, and it's crazy. That game had been canceled and moving it to another week. And Cam Newton got it from the Patriots. I think there was a false positive with the Saints. I don't know. It's hitting the NFL. It's hitting the government. It's getting everybody. And we're coming down to the last couple weeks until the election. It looks like it's going to be one giant shit show. But do I think Donald Trump catching coronavirus and having to be flown to a medical hospital or a military hospital, a medical hospital, all hospitals are medical, motherfucker. But do I think it's funny? Yes, and let me tell you why. If I was president of the United States, and I kept, I don't know, running across a freeway back and forth and dodging cars, all the while screaming, cars rarely hit people, cars rarely run over and kill people. The amount of deaths due to automobile accidents are way lower than smoking or coronavirus. I mean, just making up shit. Just making it up. Like, kinda hitting on something that sounds true, but just slightly thinking about it, you know it's bullshit. And then I finally get run over and I'm put into a coma. I would think most people would find that funny. You just kind of have to laugh. You kind of had it coming. You had all of the, like, not only facts, but you were giving daily briefings about it. Like, you're the president and there's a pandemic and you've downplayed everything, or you flat out lied, or you did some good things, you were truthful, but you did it in a condescending, very cunty way, so people kind of didn't believe you. It's something simple like just wearing a mask. You made it almost like it's a pussy move to wear a mask. Oh, I'm too strong for it, I've beaten everything. And yeah, and then you mock the person who's running against you for wearing a mask to the debate where you probably had coronavirus, because the latest I heard is that it was likely spread amongst all of them at the Supreme Court announcement, which was like a week ago or some shit. I don't know. But yeah, I do find it funny. Do I wish anything awful to happen? No. I'm still an American. I keep those thoughts private. And but it is funny, and I think you should mock him. It is very funny. And I can't help but just think Trump would be such in a better position to win this election, in my opinion. Like, I don't think it would be a close election if Trump handled the coronavirus correctly in the beginning. At least by March, at the latest. Because it sure seems like we had information coming in since December of 2019. If Donald Trump handled coronavirus like Obama did Ebola, I think he'd be slaughtering Trump. I really would. Or slaughtering Biden, I apologize. I don't think Biden would stand a chance. I think it would have drastically shooken up the election. Like, I don't know if Biden would even got the nomination. I don't know. That may be a stretch, the last bit. But, I mean, he could have run on how good he was doing for the coronavirus, even if he was doing just an adequate job. He could have at least spun it positive. And he could have, lied to you about the fucking law and order and lied to you about the economy and blah, blah, blah. And whoever the Democratic nominee would have been, if it would have been Biden, which I think it ultimately would be. What are they going to talk about? I mean, he could talk about Trump's past, but I don't think the majority of Americans really give a fuck. I think if you asked, 10 random people about Russiagate, I don't think the majority of them would give a fuck, because I don't want to get in. I don't want to get started about that. But no, yeah. So I think Trump is his own worst enemy. Thank God. I mean, obviously he is. I mean, that's no surprise. But now that, as I'm recording this, he is going back to the White House, and he was telling his supporters in the media there that coronavirus is no big deal because he's going home after 3 days. Well, no, it turns out he had the coronavirus for a while, and that just shows the sheer. I don't think it's ignorance. I think it's just disdain for people that aren't that isn't him or his family, because it really is looking that the majority of the people that have coronavirus in his circle and his cabinet and his social circle, they sure seem to know what they had about a week and a half ago around the debate and around the Supreme Court announcement. So that means for the extended amount of time, they've been just lackadaisically walking around all over the country, all over the press, talking to supporters, not wearing a mask, obviously not social distancing, still talking it down, the whole thing about wearing a mask. I mean, during the debate, he alluded that Biden wears his too much because he's weak. He wears his mask too much. I don't wear as much as him, you know. I'm not as worried about it as he is. I mean, he plays it up like if you wear a mask, you're a pussy. Only real men don't wear a mask. And so, I mean, that's evil, in my opinion. If he knew about it, and if he knew the severity of it and still did all those things, I mean, think of all the thousands and thousands and thousands of people that could have become infected, or at least had the chance of becoming infected. Even though the percentages are low, it's the unnecessary risk that the president and his circle knows the information. I would hope they know the information about the virus that's been slowly strangling this country for the past fucking 8 months. Oh, and then that fucking photo op of him leaving the hospital last night and in that fucking car giving thumbs up to his fucking cult supporters out there. I mean, again, if I was a Secret Service agent, I'm putting my literal life on the line driving this sick fuck around. I mean, and if you read, the Secret Service complained about it, the hospital complained about it, Fauci was like, obviously they're not asking my opinion on these matters. So it's just disgusting. They just have such disregard for a disease, for a virus that's killed over 210,000 people. It has killed at least 210,000 people, and I think we've almost had, let me pull up the stats here, 7.5 million cases, almost 7.5 million. But it's no big deal. And then he tells the press tonight as he's walking back home in the White House to quarantine the White House. How is that even going to be possible? Are they going to shut the whole entire White House down? Do you know how much of a tourist attraction that is? I mean, it's insanity. He should be in the hospital. But fuck it. Again, because they're pretending like this isn't a big deal when it really is. And it's setting such an awful example to this country. So, it's disgusting. And it's more than disgusting, it's vile. It's irreprehensible, in my opinion. But anyway, I could keep bitching about it, but I didn't think this administration could reach a new low. I thought the previous low would never be would be taken over. Why can't I talk? I never thought the previous low would be outdone. And the previous low, in my opinion, was when he cleared the peaceful protesters with, like, they were beating the shit out of them, tear gassing them, and flashbang grenades and all that shit. And they were peaceful. They were holding up signs. There was no violence at all. Not even a stretch of violence. Kicked them all out so he could do that fucking photo op holding the Bible in front of that fucking church. Which, even the church was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I thought that was the lowest of the low. Nope, this is worse. This is so much worse. I don't think The Onion, I don't think South Park, I don't think Crack or Mad Magazine or any of that shit could make fun of this shit anymore, because it's so nonsensical. All you can do is laugh. You can just laugh, but you can't make jokes about it, because even that's like, you know what, that joke may actually come true. Anyway, let's move on before my head explodes. Yeah, so let's move on to some more personal stuff. So, I always have considered myself generally a good cook, a good chef. In my mind, I'm a damn good cook, and I have been for some time. It took Rebecca telling me, you always say you're a good cook, you always talk about it, you seem very prideful about it. You've never really cooked for me. And of course, I always would argue and say, no, you're busting my balls. I I've cooked for you and blah 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 blah. And then I thought of me cooking for the roommates I had in college and cooking when I was living at home, cooking on my own. And then it finally dawned on me, I, in the minority here, had been considering cooking as un- opening up frozen bags of like vegetables and chicken or pot stickers or just because I take it out of the freezer and I put it on a skillet or on the stove and I quote unquote cook it doesn't mean I'm actually a good cook. A chimpanzee can do that. So it dawned on me after all of this and after some helpful ball busting by Rebecca that no, in fact, I'm not a good cook. Cooking is not just reheating something or unfreezing it. Cooking isn't putting something in the stove. Cooking isn't putting something in the oven for 40 minutes and walking away, Cooking is considered by most to be either from scratch or like putting something together with some prep time and actually putting it together and cooking it. And so I had to reevaluate my life, kind of a come to God moment, if you will. And I had to accept the fact that, what I've been considering cooking this whole time is not really cooking. It's reheating. Or, defrosting. So I kind of made it a personal goal of mine. Since, again, quarantine, COVID life, you really don't have an excuse not to do something. And I was sick of basically defending something that I haven't been doing. So I really had to take out, a pad and paper and start writing down, okay, what have I cooked? What can I cook? And that sheet was a pretty short one. And so I had to admit, all right, well, let's start from scratch. When was the last time you got out a cookbook or a recipe and actually followed instructions? You went shopping for the items, you measured, you did all of the what have you. And I'm ashamed to say it's been quite a long time, a couple of years. So I said, fuck it. I have an Instapot. I have no excuse not to use this thing. And it was been gathering dust. So I got myself my Instapot recipe book, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of recipes in that motherfucker. Luckily, they broke it up by meal and by protein type. And so I said, fuck it. I love breakfast. It's my favorite meal. I could eat breakfast 3 times a day, 5 times if I want diabetes. And I love chicken and seafood. It's not that I hate beef or pork or turkey. It just, it's not my favorite. I could do without it. I don't know what you want to call a vegetarian that still eats seafood and chicken. Not a vegetarian, but what do they call the vegetarians that eat seafood? Episcopalians? That always sounds like a religious cult to me. Like Christians or Jews or Muslims. But anyway, so I took out 4 to start with, and I've cooked 3 of them so far. And I got to tell you, it's been embarrassing. It's been humbling. But I gotta say, I've cooked 3 out of the 4 so far, and they've all turned out smashing. And I've posted some of them on social media. I don't want to be that bitch who has to put everything he does on social media. I was proud of the cooking, so I put it up. Am I going to put all my cooking stuff on social media? God, I hope not. I really don't. So, but yeah, the first thing I made, I wanted to make an easy one, so I made meatballs. And I assumed making meatballs would be easy. I had no idea that that fucking meat really does stick together. So it really took me a little bit longer than I thought to make them ball. I had to use an ice cream scoop. I MacGyvered that mofo, and it worked. So I made, what was it? Apricot, maple, apple meatballs. Turkey meatballs. I think they're called sausage meatballs at that point. And yeah, it turned out excellent. It was really good. The glaze was scrumptious, and I didn't get salmonella, so I cooked the turkey just fine. Now the second dish was a little bit more of work, but it turned out equally well, and that was chicken Toscana. As 40% Italian, I assumed I knew how to cook pasta, and I did okay with the pasta. But What was really special about it is that chicken Toscana, if done right, is a pretty healthy meal. The most unhealthy part of it is the actual pasta because of the carbs. But it had so many vegetables, and there was, onion, asparagus, peppers. Oh God, there was spinach, I think, or was that in something else? I don't know. There was tons of stuff, but I love zucchini. Zucchini is the king of squash, and I will fight anyone who says otherwise. But I like butternut squash. Stick it up your ass. Zucchini's the best squash. Zucchini is the better doppelganger of cucumbers. Fuck cucumbers. Nobody likes cucumbers. If they say it, they're lying. No, I get it. There is something refreshing about cucumber water, except it has that nasty ass taste of cucumber in it. Now, I understand all the health benefits, whatever. Cucumbers suck. I hate cucumbers. And pickles aren't that much better anyway. I gotta tell you, my two most hated vegetables have got to be cucumbers and celery, and they tend to be the most healthiest and the most easiest to make, but I just don't like it. I don't like the taste or the texture. Fuck it. But I tell you, zucchini, I love. I could eat zucchini every day. If I ever get a garden going, I'm gonna grow some zucchini. The third one I made, I think, was a quiche, and I'm making frittatas. So again, so far nothing has been over the top hard. But again, it's nice, I think we can all use this time to hone a skill or create a skill. And for me, I'm basically starting from the bottom of my cooking skills. And it's funny because my father's a great cook. My mom's a decent cook. My sister, when she was alive, was an excellent cook, although she was more of the Paula Deen kind of cooking. Everything tasted good because it had a shitload of butter and sugar and oil and grease and, yes, LaFonda, it's good to see you too. She's sitting in my lap, purring slightly away from the mic. So yeah, why not do it? So that you don't have to use it for cooking. You can be for anything, I mean, I'm sorry, people. You just don't have an excuse not to do something or to try something. Unless it's, financial or health concerns or durka. But if you got the shit ready and available and you still don't do it because it's too much work, I don't want to take a chance. Take a chance. Columbus did. Look how that turned out. Well, it turned out good for some people. Anyway, so yeah, I'm glad I'm cooking again. I really feel good when it's done. And you feel like you accomplished something. And I don't know if there's anything better than that sense of accomplishment you get when you take a chance. Sure, talking to a girl at a bar and she says yes, that feels good. Talking yourself into a workout you don't want to do, that feels good. But I tell you, there's something uniquely special about doubting yourself while cooking. You cook and it comes out and you eat it and it's, you know what? My taste buds are telling me this is dank. It just feels good. Feels better than sex. Feels better than that post-workout feeling. It's almost as good as that booze, weed buzz. And I gotta tell you, the best buzz is a weed and wine. Red wine, to be more specific. At least for me. I love it. But yeah, I don't know where I got the narcissism about me being a good cook. I just assumed that I was good at it because I've been doing the easy stuff all along, and I know so many people my age that really don't know how to do anything in the kitchen, and all it is Uber Eats and delivery and eating out, which is, of course, it's easier that way and quote-unquote healthier if you do it right, but there's just something about doing all that shit yourself. Frozen vegetables don't taste as good as vegetables taken out of the refrigerator that are, 3 or 4 days old. It just tastes better. And I think I thought that I was a decent cook because back in high school I took it wasn't called home ec, it was called basic foods, I think. Took with a bunch of my buddies. It was a train wreck a sophomore year. The hottest girl in school was in the class and she knew it and she was just flaunting it and all of us were going through puberty and hiding our boners under the desks. And it was a great time. And I always cooked relatively well in that class, but I got a D. Not for my skill, but because the teacher hated me. And it wasn't something that I thought. I knew it because she told me she did not like me. She told me that in a rage. I forget that fat bitch's name, but if you're a teacher and you can't put up with a little bit of 13-year-old hijinks, don't teach high school. Now, she looked like she's been through the ringer. I don't remember her name, so I will protect the innocent there. She was an older, squat woman, And she was no nonsense, which is not a good recipe. You see what I did? The recipe? Basically, yeah, you see what I did there. And I think she hated me from the get-go because she had a cooking setup where we were all watch, and there was a mirror facing down so we could see how she was prepping, how she was cooking, everything, how to clean, how to whatever. Well, of course, she started to clean the rolling pin, and we all know what that looks like, and I started to laugh. So did all the other boys, but I was the instigator, so she kicked me out of class, and that kind of started it. I was kicked out of that class almost every single time I was in there, just for hijinks. Nothing bad. I never started a fire. I never cursed. I never got in a fight. It was just me poking fun or causing a scene, Harmless, victimless fun. But one time, when she kicked me out, she followed me, and I thought she was going to have a stroke, and I was going to get arrested for attempted murder. She put her hand on my shoulder, which you can't do these days, and she was squeezing my shoulder, and she was about the same height as me. I'm about 5'7", 5'8". And she grabbed my shoulder and squeezed it, and she was shaking like she had Parkinson's. She probably was a couple inches away from my face, and her eyes were huge, and she was just shaking. She's like, I don't like you. I don't like your attitude, and I don't like what you bring to my class. And I kind of was scared, but also kind of laughing. So I was like, that worried laugh, and that set her off. And she threw me to the principal's office, and they asked me if I wanted to switch classes or take another class. And I said, no, my friends are there. I didn't care about anything else. So ultimately, at the end of the quarter, I had a D. But my food was always good. There was a student was she a student TA? There was a TA in the class, a teaching assistant. She was nice. She was quiet. I remember her saying, hey, your food's good, but, stop being a punk, basically. And so, yeah, I don't know why that story came up. But it is what it is, and I think from that moment on, I thought I was a decent cook. I moved out when I was 18 with a bunch of roommates to go to college, and I was one of the few that would cook in the house for everybody. And it was kind of like a tradition. Every Saturday or Sunday, I don't quite remember, I would make this big-ass breakfast for all the guys, and then every now and then I would George Foreman grill up a few chicken breasts and make some kind of chicken ranch dish. I don't really remember. It honestly may just be chicken breast with ranch sauce. I don't remember, but I remember ranch and chicken being part of it. So anyway, if I can better myself, you guys can too, because I'm a lazy piece of shit a lot of the time. However, I've been trying during quarantine to kind of get out of that mindset. Sure, some days all I want to do is get high and watch anime and be in bed by 10. Some days that feels good. Other days, I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go for a jog, I'm going to go mow the lawn, I have all these things. I'm going to go shopping, I got to cook lunch, I'm going to prep dinner. You want to do all these things, and I think you want to not so much balance things out, but you want to have more production than laziness, if that makes any sense. So, like, on a scale of 0 to 100%, try to be productive 60% of the time, at least in my opinion. That way you still have 40% of, let's call it slothfulness. Eat half a bag of potato chips, take a few edibles, watch a few episodes of, I don't know, whatever show you're watching, 90 Day Fiancé, which, God help us, I love that show. And yeah, that way at the end of the week, you can look back and say, I may have smoked 20 bowls and smoked 5 joints and blah, 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 but I also cooked all these meals. I exercised every day. I took care of the house. I went outside gardening. I got some sun. I saw some friends. And, whatever. You have to produce something in your life. Anyway. And if you want personalized shaming, call me up. Because I'm the best at shaming people for not doing things that I think about doing and rarely do. Oh, dang it, LaFonda. Not only did she leave hair all over my shorts and shirt, but she drooled all over my pants. It's kind of disgusting, but LaFonda, she drools a lot. I guess when she's excited or happy, when she's purring, I've only had one other cat that did that a little bit. No, 2 cats. But it was more just like maybe 1 drip. But LaFonda, drools. And I'm talking like a leaky faucet. And I wonder why that is. Well, fuck it. I'm on the internet here. Let's see. Why is it that cats drool when they're happy. Let's see. Why do cats drool when oh, look at that. It comes right up. I'm not the only one that's been thinking this. Some cats drool when they are extremely relaxed and enjoying being petted or cuddled. This is not uncommon and merely indicates a physiologic response to happiness. Similarly, some cats may drool when they are asleep, probably because they are so relaxed. This type of drooling is often an indication of a happy cat. I feel like that paragraph said the same thing over and over again in different ways. So basically me on this podcast. Let's see if I can get a different one. Oh, here's one from the Miami Herald, a trusted newspaper publication. Let's see. By the way, can you imagine if humans did that? If we're content or happy when we're being cuddled, we just start drooling. Let's see. Cats will produce copious quantities of saliva for all kinds of reasons. Let's consider the drooling that happens in sick cats first. No, I don't want to do that. Let's go to the happy one. End of page. I need to subscribe. You motherfucker. This is why journalism is dying. Right here. Ugh, don't get me started on this bullshit. If I go to the Washington Post, the New York Times, I don't know, Seattle Times, think of the trusted actual newspaper media, either physical or digital. Most of them you have to subscribe. You have to pay for. Whereas the bullshit websites like the Fox News, the CNNs, the OAN, what have you, it's all free. BuzzFeed's all free. Fucking Huffington Post is all free. I can't think of any more conservative ones. There's that America First Network, AF. I don't know. Trump loves that shit. I'm assuming that one's free too. But isn't it awful? That's why that those conspiracy bullshit websites are so much easier to read because they're fucking free. Whereas actual journalism, you have to pay out the ass for. Bitches. Anyway, let's go back to why reasons cats drool. Alright, let's see. When cats reach adulthood, feelings of contentment often lead to kneading, making pies, which then stimulates drooling because of the connection to nursing. Oh, I did not often accompanies the kneading and drooling, yeah? If your otherwise healthy cat is in your lap and starts making biscuits, I call it making pies, I call it making biscuits. Both are delicious, pies and biscuits. Don't be surprised if some drooling occurs. This is perfectly normal and likely even one of the ways that your cat shows you love. Aww. Unlike dogs, cats can't commonly drool at the sight of food. However, it can still happen. If your cat drools at the sight of smell or food, but not at other times, it's probably nothing to worry about. Oh, so that kind of makes sense because it's related to nursing, I guess. You want to get your gums in your mouth ready for the milk, I guess? I don't know. One more, let's see. And then we can move on from this very important topic that I know all of you are just riveted against. All right, let's see. They just call it the drool of happiness. It just sounds so disgusting. The drool of happiness. Oh, here we go. At least this person, whoever wrote this website, cathealth.com, is genuine. It isn't known with certainty. Certainty? Why some cats drool when they are feeling relaxed and happy. But there is one idea that seems pretty logical. All right, then they bring up the nursing thing. Is that it? That's what it is? Oh, I see. Kittens need their mother's abdomen just prior to and sometimes while nursing, which stimulates the milk letdown. Oh, okay, that makes sense. And maybe the drooling is a leftover remembrance of nursing. Oh. The kitten, when needing the mother, may have begun drooling in anticipation of a lovely milk meal. Feelings of calmness, relaxation, and happiness would have accompanied nursing, and maybe as adults, some cats associate happy feelings with the long-ago experience of nursing and begin to knead and drool. Interesting. Okay, and then this motherfucker goes too far. Placing a towel or a muffin blanket on your lap before you invite your cat to cuddle will protect you from happy drool and the stray claw that may make its way through your clothes. I'm not going to put a fucking towel or whatever the fuck a muffin blanket is. LaFonda wants to get on me, that's fine. But, that stray claw ain't no joke. If I'm sitting here and she's kneading my thigh, every now and then a paw will hit my balls and that claw will just hit my testicles and I don't know if there's more fear that can happen in relation to the cat. I just kind of jump. Because, you don't want your ball getting scratched. Let's say I bring a nice girl over and we're, get ready to go, a private pants party. And then she sees a big old cut on one of my balls. She'd probably think this guy is a fucking freak. I'm out of here. And if she thinks then she wants to stay, is that really a girl I should have in my home? I think so, yes. So moving on. I got another movie idea. Angelo's movie ideas. This one's a little dark, so bear with me. So, do you guys remember that movie a couple of years ago, Velvet Buzzsaw on Netflix? Velvet Buzzsaw? Anybody see that movie? Jake Gyllenhaal, Rene Russo, Tilda Swinton in that? No, Toni Collette, that's right. Toni Collette, John Malkovich. It's about art that I think came to life, was killing people. I don't know if the art itself or the artist, something had to do with art was killing people. And therefore the death itself became art. It's a pretty cool movie. Was it a good movie? I'll probably give it a 6 out of 10, but it was enjoyable. I liked it. This movie's kind of like that, and in that it involves the art scene and death. So I thought of an idea where there's this really seedy art collector, and he has one of the most prestigious art galleries in the United States or the world. I don't know. Maybe I haven't thought that through yet. Maybe he's not even American. But he specializes in art that the art itself, by itself, is not anything unique. But it's all art that involves a story. The art wasn't owned by anyone famous. However, the story with this art is that it was all owned by people who were murdered, and that the art itself was affected by the murder. Meaning, there could have been blood on it, there could have been stab wounds, bullet holes, anything to do with the murder itself at all. That is what the art collector started collecting, and he kind of created that own little niche market, and now he's like a millionaire. But that means he has to go to crime scenes, bribe cops, bribe lawyers, try to get evidence, try to steal it sometimes if it's a really good piece of art. So he kind of starts to lose control as he's doing crazier and crazier things to get this art. And so later down the line, maybe he accidentally murders somebody, and then that itself becomes an art project. Like maybe the guy or gal that he killed hit a piece of art or a statue or some kind of bust. I don't fucking know. Something of decor. And he starts doing that. Then he starts to be out there murdering people in certain ways. And I don't know. I kind of want it to end that he kills himself as his final piece of art. But I don't know. See, you know what I'm saying when I was warning you that it's all a little bit dark. But you have to ask yourself, beyond the darkness of it, have you seen a movie like that before? I don't think so. Now, again, it has elements of Velvet Buzzsaw, and I don't know why I thought of this idea. It's not like I just saw Velvet Buzzsaw yesterday. I saw that movie years ago, and it wasn't particularly memorable, but when I started thinking of this movie, I thought, oh shit, what was that Jake Gyllenhaal movie? That's right. And then Durka, here we are. Now, for the role of the art collector, I want someone who could play seedy, kind of shallow, sunken eyes, kind of losing his mind, sweating a little bit. And I think Jake Gyllenhaal would be pretty good. Maybe that's why I thought of that movie, because it was a little bit of A and a little bit of B. And I don't know if you've seen Nightcrawler, but that's kind of what he does in that movie. He loses his fucking mind, and he starts to go extremely crazy. And he's just really good in it. And what was that other movie? He was in Prisoners, when he got to show off that kind of chaotic acting chops. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Jake Gyllenhaal. I think he'd be good in that role. And the rest of the cast could be minor or small. You don't have to get any big names for the side characters, because it's really a character study on that one man and his love of weird ass death murder art. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a pretty cool idea. Let me know what you think. All right, let's go through a quick rapid fire. Boom. Seahawks won again. Amazing. It was, again, too close for my comfort, but we won, in my opinion, a little bit easier than we did in previous weeks. And we escaped no injuries. Awesome Possum. I watched an amazing movie called The Hunt for the Wilder People, or The Wildebeest, I don't remember. It's one of Taika Waititi's first movies. Sam Neill from Jurassic Park and a bunch of other shit. And Julian Dennison, who was the fat kid from Deadpool 2. That was his first movie. It's a New Zealand movie, so you may have to watch it with subtitles. But it was such a fun, entertaining, and touching movie. And it's about 4 years old. I don't know why it took me so long to watch. I'm sure we all watched or have seen by now, at least highlights or read about the VP presidential debate, and it was kind of odd to see kind of your standard under normal circumstances. This would just be an average, normal kind of political debate. I think we got spoiled back in the days where it was Biden against Sarah Palin. Oh, fucking that hooah. And then it was Joe Biden against, who was Mitt Romney's VP? Was it Lieberman? I don't remember. Anyway, but even when it was Clinton and Obama, and when it was Bernie and Hillary, and it was just nice to see not a childish, combative debate. The Fly was kind of combative, and that fly on Pence, even the fly could smell shit, you know. And so the rumor that I heard is that the Saturday Night Live, which, you know, fuck SNL, I'm not a huge fan of them. I don't like how they play identity politics and cancel culture and all that jazz. But I gotta admit, their Jim Carrey, Joe Biden thing was pretty funny. So the rumor I heard is that they're trying to get Jeff Goldblum to play the Fly, which is pretty awesome if you really think about it. I finished another anime show, and that was The Legend of Korra. And I'm starting a new one soon, and I'm trying to go quick here because I know this bores a lot of people, but I'm having a hard time thinking of other TV shows. Oh, the new season of Fargo, that's right, is so far the best season. And I don't know if you guys have watched Fargo. Watch it. It's on FX. It's streaming on Hulu. It's by far the best season. This one has Chris Rock and Jason Schwartzman. They're amazing in it. And I recommend it. Let's keep it going, baby. Well, let's see. I think we can move on. I think we're almost done here anyway. Did y'all know that you have to pay for a garbage pickup? Because I sure didn't. I've been living here for over 6 months, actually, and my garbage has been picked up every Tuesday, like clockwork, no problem. And so it was to my surprise that I woke up on Tuesday morning to go bring the cans back in. They were still full. In fact, I had a sign that said, not paid for service or some bullshit. And I thought, what the fuck is this? Paying for service? I thought this was in my mortgage or part of my utilities or some shit. I don't know. This is the first time I had ever heard of it. And like I said, I've been living here for 6-7 months. And so I later found out that, no, I haven't been paying for it. And they just didn't check. So basically, I got away with 6 months of free garbage pickup. And as I was learning this, I thought, oh, geez. I was on the phone with a customer service person, and I was thinking, oh, man, they're going to ask me to pay back all that shit. And I was having a dilemma of, well, legally I should, but it's not me who made the mistake, it's them. So I was kind of torn, because, if I fuck up, I'm willing to pay the consequences, just like if I get a speeding ticket and I was speeding, I may bitch about it, but I'm gonna pay it. But this one's more up in the air, you know what I'm saying? Luckily, the guy did not want me to get paid and actually didn't bring up payment at all. So I think I lucked out on one. But let this be a learning lesson for all y'all first-time home buyers, or if you're looking, I don't fucking know, because I was 34 years old. I didn't know that shit. I thought that was all part of one other bill, like I said, utilities or part of your mortgage. Fuck if I know. I've never done it. I've lived in a couple places where I've never had to pay for it, so I tell you never stop learning new shit. Speaking of, I've never quite learned how to tell when almond milk goes bad. I've looked it up online, and it always tells me it's kind of like normal milk. If it tastes funny or looks funny or smells funny, whatever, then it's gone bad. But I can't tell. I've drinking almond milk 2 months before expiration date, and I've drunken that same milk 2 months after the expiration date, and I couldn't taste the difference, nor could I smell one. And when I poured it into a cup, it wasn't like it was curdled or anything, so I don't fucking know. I don't know why I'm even talking about this. Long story short, it's too late for that. I ended up throwing away a bunch of almond milk because I couldn't tell if it was expired or not, because it expired back in early September, and it still had half a gallon left. And one of my pet peeves is wasting food. Let me get my little violin here. There's so many starving and homeless people in this state, but in this country, in this world, that it's a very American wasteful thing to do, is to just whatever, I don't need this, and not really take any consideration for those poor fucks out in the street. Especially now in a pandemic, there's even more, and there's going to be a housing crisis soon, and a rent crisis, and a landlord crisis. Oh, we're going to be fucked. All that back rent that you haven't had to pay, it's not getting washed away. It's been accumulating. You better cross your fingers they don't charge interest on that shit, because neither political party gives a fuck about the mass majority of the people suffering through the pandemic when it comes to rent. And, just any kind of home payment, car payment, you name it. You're fucked. You're fucked. Sorry, you didn't vote for Bernie Sanders, and this is what you get, bitches. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So I've never been able to figure out when almond milk goes bad. That's not really a story. Somehow I've stretched it out for 5 minutes. What the fuck's wrong with me? So, in closing, because I think we can all agree it's time for me to wrap it up if I've been talking about almond milk and garbage pickup. Anyhow, in closing, I want to go on one more quick rant here, and it involves the incredible and outlandish kidnapping attempt that was plotted against Gretchen Whitmer, the Michigan governor. And what really grinds my gears is that the mass majority of the media coverage were calling the men that were arrested as a militia. And they just kept calling them militia, militia, militia. Now, I think we can all agree, regardless of your political leanings, that if there was 6 or 9 of these, how many people were there? It doesn't matter. Let's just pick a number. Let's say, okay, there's 13. So if there's 13 Black Lives Matter people that plotted to do this, that the media would be calling them the T word. And if they were all Muslim, you for sure can guess what the media would be calling them. Again, the T word. And God forbid if any of those men were men of color, then you would have gotten the T word plus a lot of racism, and that's just from the president. Oh, it's sad but true. Now, the T word I'm talking about is terrorist. Why aren't these men called terrorists? They plotted a terrorist act. Now, is it because they're white? Maybe. Maybe. Is it due to the fact that they didn't really have a dog in the fight, so to speak, because in terms of the presidential election, because it sure seems like they did not like Trump either. And they didn't like the Democrats. So, what are you going to call them? But it seems to me that the word militia is only given to when they're groups of white people. And they tend to be, because I'm being polite, but 99.9 infinity repeating percent tend to be white nationalism, far right, white power groups, whatever you want to call them, Proud Boys, what have you. They're always called a militia, never terrorists when they actually do something or plot something like this. I don't understand. Because, again, if it was a Black Lives Matter, or if it was a quote-unquote Antifa, or, like I said, men of color, this all would be a different story. All different. And a lot of racism is going to be thrown in there. Is there racism on this story? Probably, but not by white people, towards white people. So, just think. That's all I'm asking people, is just use common sense going forward. So, in closing, I hope you all have a good weekend. I hope you all keep it loosey-goosey. And yeah, treat others as you want to be treated and all that other jazz. Boop, bye.